Hello students, welcome to our online classes. I am Mrs. Nehal More and I heartily welcome you for today's session. Children, today we are going to learn chapter 3rd of Civics, how the state government works. I repeat again, how the state government works. This chapter we are going to learn line by line because this is very important chapter and you need to understand it very deeply. So let's begin with the reading. Last year, we discussed the fact that government works at three levels. In Standard 6, you have learned that the government works at three levels. Which are they? Local, state and national. I repeat again, local, state and national. Government works at the three levels. They are local, state and national. And looked at the work of local government in some detail. Last year in Standard 6, you have learned about the local government and the work of the local government. Now, what are we going to learn in this chapter? How the state government works. See, as the name of the lesson indicates, how the state government work, it's obvious that we are going to learn about the working of the state government in the democracy. In this chapter, we examine the work of the government at the state level. How does this takes place in the democracy? What is the role of member of legislative assembly? This is very important word. Member of legislative assembly. He is also known as MLA. What is he known as? He is known as MLA. Okay, member of legislative assembly. If I ask you a question, what is the full form of MLA? Then the answer is member of the legislative assembly. This is very important and you should always keep this in mind. Okay, how do people express their views or demands action from the government? What are we going to learn? We are going to learn about how the state government works, what are the responsibilities of the MLAs, and how the action is taken place in the government. Okay, we look at these questions through the example of health. So here's a small story. From this story we can understand whose responsibility. This is a very beautiful story. From this we can understand how the state government works. Okay, hey, look at this. It says that there is a water shortage in our state and people are falling sick. Now here two girls are reading newspaper and one girl says that, hey, look at this, our state is facing water shortage problem and because of that many people are falling sick. Then the other girl says, in many villages people were found to be drinking unclean water. Now as there is a scarcity of water, in many villages people are drinking unclean water. Unclean means what? Which is not good for drinking. Okay, which is not clean. Streams have dried up and so have tanks. In the worst affected areas, villagers have been carrying water across great distances. Not only people are drinking unclean water, streams have also dried up and also many people are walking long distance to bring water. Okay. See, people at the district headquarters Patalpuram receive water supply only once in 3 days. The district hospital is flowing with patients, a large number of whom are children with acute diarrhea. See, not only they were facing the problem of scarcity of water, they were also facing the problem that many peoples were affected with the diarrhea because they were drinking unclean water, right? So many of the hospitals were overflowing with the patients. Okay, and among them the large number were children. Okay, now what happens next? We'll see what happens next. So on the TVs, what she says, on the TVs they said that 10 people have died from diarrhea. She says, I have heard on the TV that 10 people have died from the diarrhea. Is that possible? Can one really die from it? Who knows? The other girl says, who knows? I don't know if anybody can die from the diarrhea. I just hope I don't get it. She says that I pray to the God that please don't give me such any diseases. That afternoon when they were returning home, what the girl says, my mother said that not to have any ice drinks from the market. In morning my mother has instructed me that I should not drink any kind of cold drink from the market because I may fall ill due to that. Okay, she gave me her lecture in the morning, early morning. What she has given me a big lecture how I should take care of my health and how I should be responsible for the health. You have to be responsible for your health, Shirin. So this girl, her name is Shirin, and the other girl starts laughing because her mother gave her lecture. Okay, haha. Next, what happens? When they were going on the cycle, a lady, policewoman, stops them. Suddenly, she stops them. Stop. Why she is stopping them? Okay, let's see. The road is blocked. Why she was stopping? Because the road is blocked due to the rally they have geared MLA's residence. Then she asked, why? Really? Why? Has he done something? The girl asked to the policewoman, why they have geared the MLA's residence? Is he done something? Then the policewoman says, haha, they seem so more angry about what he hasn't done. Means he has not done his responsibility, so the people are angry on him. And then can you see a man over here? He's having a mic in his hand and he's speaking something. What is he saying? See, and we demand that the authorities take immediate action to bring public health situation under control. See, we have learned that public health situation in Patalpuram was worst because people were not drinking clean water, due to which they were falling ill from the diarrhea, and hospitals were overflowing with the patients. They were not getting proper treatment also. So what this man is demanding, that the public health situation should be immediately brought under control. Our MLA must take the responsibility of this. Now the question arises, why the MLA should take the responsibility of this, and who is the MLA? MLA means who? Member of Legislative Assembly, right? So why MLA should take the responsibility? This is what we are going to learn in this entire chapter. Okay, what a loud voice he has. Shirin says, what a loud voice this man is having. He must be a leader or something. She says that he must be a leader. He is speaking so confidently with a loud voice. He must be surely a leader. Then she says, yes, I saw him on TV. He is a member of the opposition. Who was he? He was the member of the opposition party. Okay. Now, who is an MLA? Now the question has arisen, who is MLA? In the above section, you have read about some events in Patalpuram. Now we read about the events in the Patalpuram, that Patalpuram is having the problem of water, problem of health and hygiene, problem of inadequate medicines, medical facilities. So these many problems, so many problems the people were facing there. So you may be familiar with the official names such as collector, medical officer, but have you heard about the MLA and Legislative Assembly? Do you know the MLA of your area? Now this is an homework for you, dear children. You are going to find who is the MLA of your area, and you will you will comment in our WhatsApp group. Okay, can you identify which party she or he belongs to? So if you will answer who is the MLA of the area, then I can understand that you have watched the video. So everybody should answer who is the MLA of our area. Okay, so do you know the MLA of your area? Can you identify which party she or he belongs to, and which party your MLA is belonging to? This also is a homework for you. Okay, now let us see who is the member of Legislative Assembly, means MLA. Who are they? Members of Legislative Assembly, they are called MLAs, are elected by the people. They are elected through the votes by the people. They become members of the Legislative Assembly. So after they are elected by the people, they become the members of the Legislative Assembly and also form the government. After they become the member of the Legislative Assembly, then they form a government. In this way, we say that MLAs represent people. In this way, we can say that MLA are, see, this is very important. What is the work of MLA? What is the work of the MLA? MLA is representing people in the legislative assembly. Okay, see, I repeat again. We can say that MLAs represent people. For example, with the help of example below, we can help understand it better. Every state in India has a legislative assembly. Now understand it, dear children. Every state in India is having its own legislative assembly. Okay, every state is having their own legislative assembly. Now each state is divided into different areas. Now each state is divided into different areas or constituencies. For example, look at the map below. It shows that state of Himachal Pradesh is divided into 68 assembly constituencies. So here look at the map below. See, Himachal Pradesh is divided into how many constituencies? 68 assembly constituencies. For each constituency, the people elect one representative who then becomes a member of legislative assembly. So what happens, from each constituency one member is elected by the people, and that member becomes the member of the legislative assembly. Okay, who would, you have noticed that people stand for the elections in the name of different parties. These MLAs therefore belong to political parties. We have learned there are many political parties, Congress, BJP, yes. So from these parties they stand, and when they are elected they belong to the different political parties. As they are belonging to the different political parties, we have noticed that people who are standing for election, many of times they belong to the different political parties. Now how do people who are MLAs become minister or chief minister? Now you understood, they are elected by the people and they become the member of legislative assembly and they form a government, right? Now how the chief minister is formed, how do the people who are MLAs become minister or chief minister? So we are going to learn this. A political party whose MLA have won more. Now as we know that MLAs belong to the different political parties, right? Different political parties. So a political party whose MLAs are more than half number of the constituencies in the state can be said in a majority. If they have majority number of their MLAs, see here in Himachal Pradesh there are 68 constituencies. So half of the 68 is how much? 34. Means the political party which is having half of the number, that means more than half or half of the number of MLAs, that political party is allowed to be or that political party is governing that state, particular state. Okay, so how do people who are MLAs become minister or chief minister? And among them the minister and chief minister is been selected. Okay, the political party whose MLAs won more than half of the number of constituencies in the state can be said to be in majority. The political party that has majority is called the ruling party. This is very important. The party which is having majority of the MLAs in constituent assembly, that party is called as a ruling party, and the party which is having less number of MLAs in the assembly, they are called the opposition party. Understood? The legislative assembly of the state of Himachal Pradesh has 68 MLAs. Here you can understand, dear children. See, now the election was held. See, they have given a very beautiful example. The election was held in Himachal Pradesh. Now total number of constituencies, how many areas are there in constituencies are there in Himachal Pradesh? 68. Barabar hai? Okay, then political party such as Bharatiya Janata Party, Indian National Congress, Communist Party of India, Independent means who are not belonging to the any party, right? So these four categories were there. Among that, Bharatiya Janata Party, 44 MLAs were elected by the people. Indian National Congress, 21 were elected. See, I tell you, Bharatiya Janata Party, how many MLAs were elected in the election? 44. Indian National Congress, how many? 21. Communist Party, 1. And the independence means who doesn't belong to any of the party, they were 2. बराबर है. So as per the rule, more than half, that means more than 34 members, which party is having, tell me dear children? Yes, it's BJP, correct hai? So the BJP became ruling party, whereas Indian National Congress and these other parties became opposition party. Understood? So BJP became the ruling party and the other parties became opposition party. Understood? Why? Because BJP is having more than half of the number of MLAs, right? Okay. Now, candidates from various political parties won the 2017 Assembly election and became MLAs. Since the total number of MLAs in the Legislative Assembly is 68, the political party would have needed to be more than 34 MLAs. Right? Now only we have learned. In order to gain majority, the Bharatiya Janata Party is having how many? 44 MLAs, had the majority and became a ruling party. All other MLAs became the opposition. In this case, Indian National Congress and the major opposition party was the major opposition party, since it has the largest number of MLAs. After BJP, who is having the largest number of MLAs, it's Indian National Congress. So it became the major opposition party, since it has the largest number of MLAs after BJP. Among the oppositions were other parties, including those who has been elected as an independent candidates. So Indian National Congress, Communist Party, Independent became the opposition and Bharatiya Janata Party became the ruling party. Okay. After the elections, the MLA belonging to the ruling party will elect their leader. After elections, what happened? MLA belonging to the MLAs, those who are belonging to the ruling party, means here in the case of Himachal Pradesh, we will say MLAs belonging to the Bharatiya Janata Party. Okay, they will elect their leader. Okay, who will become chief minister. So, do you understood, dear children, how the chief minister is being formed of the state? See here in this case, now Bharatiya Janata Party is having 44 members. So these 44 members among themselves, they will decide who will be the chief minister of the state. So here 44 members, where they came? People elected those 44 members, that means they become MLA, and from those 44 members, one member is selected as a chief minister. Okay, understood? The chief minister and other minister have the responsibility. Not only the chief minister, also the other members are given responsibility of running various government department ministers. Okay, they have separate offices. A legislative assembly is a place where all MLAs, whether from the ruling party or from the opposition, meet to discuss various things. See, this is very, very important. What is legislative assembly? Legislative assembly is a place where all the MLAs, whether from the ruling party or from the opposition, meet to discuss various things. Okay, hence some of the MLAs have dual responsibilities, one as an MLA and other as a minister. The MLAs who are elected as the are decided as the ministers, so they are having dual responsibility. Dual means double responsibility. They are working as a MLA also and they are working as ministers also. Now we will read about this further. Now, how the legislative assembly works. This is what we are going to learn now. See, here children, we are going to learn a debate in legislative assembly. Now, how the legislative assembly really works. Okay, here is a story now. Afreen, Sujata and many other students from their school travel to the state capital to visit legislative assembly. Now here the students name Afreen, Sujata, they traveled from their schools to visit and see how the legislative assembly really works, which was housed in the impressive building. The children were excited children were very very excited to go there. Okay, so when they went upstairs, there was a gallery from where they could see a large hall below, and there were rows and the desks. When they went in the building, they saw from the gallery that there were rows and the rows of the desk. This assembly was going to have a debate on the current problem. So here all the MLAs will settle together and discuss on the problems of the people. During this time, MLAs can express these opinions and ask questions related to the issue or give suggestions about what should be done by the government. Those who wish to can respond to this. The ministers then replies to the questions and tries to assure the assembly that adequate steps are being taken. See now what happens in the legislative assembly. We people are electing MLAs, right? So the MLA is having the responsibility of his area to see that everything is going fine in his area. There is no water problem, there is no electricity problem, there is no drainage problem. Everything is clean. People are not having any problems. The roads are well built. So everything is being looked by the MLA. So, if any problem arises in his area, then he can question the government for he can ask why the public health facility is not good in my area. You have to take proper care of it, or you have to suggest proper measures for it. So, these all work is done by the MLA. He ensures that his area is well equipped or is having all the facilities which should be provided by the government. So this is what is done in the legislative assembly. Whatever problems people are having, the MLA, what he is doing, he is discussing that problem in the legislative assembly, so that government can understand the problem of the people and they can take the preventive measures for it. Understood, dear children? So what kind of discussion is done? See now here there are pictures. See, there is a picture here where I'll show you. See here, can you identify the MLA? See, these are the MLAs. MLA number 1, MLA number 2. See here, MLA 1, MLA 2, right? MLA 3. So these people are sitting here in a legislative assembly and they are discussing on the problem. And whoever is the minister, for example, if there is a problem of health, then the health minister will answer to that problem. So what all measures are taken, what all work he has done to solve that problem. If the problem is related to education, then the education minister will answer. So this problem is there in my area. What kind of what kind of steps you have taken to avoid this? This all is answered by the concerned ministers. Okay, understood, dear children? Now here we can see the discussion. Here, MLA number 1, what is he asking? In my constituency of Akhangaon, during last 3 weeks, there are 15 deaths because of diarrhea. He is raising health issue. He is saying that in my area, there are 15 deaths because of diarrhea. I think it is a shame that the government has not been able to check the situation of the simple problem like diarrhea. What is he saying? The government has failed to see or to check the simple problem like diarrhea. While proclaiming itself the champion of technology, I will call the attention of the minister in charge of the health to take the immediate measure to control the situation. Now he is saying that I am requesting that the health minister should properly see into this problem and solve the problem immediately. So this is what is done in the legislative assembly. Now, second MLA. What is the second MLA saying? Wait a moment. Second MLA. My question is, why are government hospitals in such a bad situation? What the second MLA's question is, why the government hospitals are in such a bad situation? Why is the government not appointing proper doctors and other medical staff in the district? So whatever problems are there related to the people are being discussed through the MLAs in the legislative assembly. This is a example. Okay, I would also like to know how the government plans to deal with the situation now, which is affecting the large number of people and is also spreading an epidemic. Now MLA third. My constituency of Tolipatti too has a serious shortage of water. Now here he is having the problem of water. Okay, women travel up to 3 to 4 kilometers to collect water. How many tankers have been put into the service to supply water? How many wells and ponds have been cleaned and disinfected? So these all questions are arised by the MLAs in the means these kind of questions, whichever problems are faced by the people are arised in the legislative assembly. I think my colleagues, MLA number 4, I think my colleagues are exaggerating the problem. Now, he is the minister, I think. So, he is giving the answer. What kind of answers are given? I think my colleagues are exaggerating the problem. The government has taken steps to control the situation. Water tankers have been put into the service. ORS packets are being distributed. The government is doing everything possible to help the people. So this answer was given by the minister. Okay, we have very poor facilities in our hospital. There are hospitals that do not have the doctor and no medical staff has been appointed for the last few years. In another hospital, the doctors are gone on the long leave. This is a shame. I think the situation is going bad from worse. How are we going to ensure ORS packets reach all families in the affected areas? The opposition members, then the MLA number 6, what he is saying, the opposition member is unnecessarily blaming the government. The previous government did not pay any attention to sanitation, so we have now taken up a drive to clear the garbage that has been lying around for years. Now these kind of problems are being discussed in the legislative assembly. In the earlier section, did you understand, dear children? The questions of MLAs are answered by their ministers. Okay, in the legislative assembly. Now next, in the earlier section you have read about the debate in the legislative assembly, how they are debating. You have understood, right? The members were debating the action taken or not taken by the government. This is because the MLAs are together responsible for the work of government. In the common usage, the word government refers to the government department and various ministers who head them. The overall head is the chief minister. Who is the head of the ministers? Chief minister is the head of the ministers. More correctly, it is called the executive part of the government. All the MLAs who gather together, who assemble, that assembly is known as legislative assembly and are called legislature. Okay, they are the one who authorize and supervise the work. As we saw in the earlier section, it is from among them that the head of the executive or the chief minister is formed. Okay, now working of the government. Now how the government is working. The legislative assembly is not only the place where opinions are expressed about the work of the government and action is demanded. You will find newspapers, TV channels and other organizations regularly talking about the government. In a democracy, there are various ways through which people express their views and also take action. Let us look at one such way. Soon after the discussion in the assembly, what happens, how the people are understanding what all decisions are taken in the legislative assembly. So soon after the discussion assembly, there was a press conference. There is a press conference after the legislative assembly's discussion, right, and organized by the health minister. And who has organized it? Health minister has organized so that he can answer all the questions of the people. Large number of people from different newspaper were present. The minister and some government officials were also present. The minister explained the steps of the government had taken. Reporters asked many questions at the meeting. This discussion were then reported in different newspaper. The following page has one such report. During the next week, the chief minister and the minister for health visited Patalpuram district. They went to visit the families who had lost their relatives and also visited people in the hospitals. The government announced the compensation for this. Now you remember those two girls who had read the newspaper and who were facing the Patalpuram city was facing the problem of water, and due to which many people were falling ill of diarrhea. the same situation they have carried forwarded here. So in the legislative assembly, the MLA of that area had discussed the problem of the Patalpuram and the water scarcity and also of the public health issue, and then the action was taken by the health minister, and that action was told in the press conference so that each and every person knows what the government actually is doing. And the press people, what they are doing, they are giving news, they are reporting news in the newspaper. For example, see this kind of news, people, government smells the garbage, chief minister promises fund for the work. So what all decisions were taken in the legislative assembly, that all they have told to the newspaper. So after that, what happens, they have told to the press, and then the press declares it in the newspaper. Understood? Okay, the chief minister also said that he thought the problem was not only one of the sanitation but also of the lack of clean drinking water. He said that the high level inquiry committee will be asked to look into the needs of the district to provide sanitation facilities, and would request the Minister of Public Work to take care of the needs of proper water supply in the region. So health minister, what he has decided, that compensation, who all died of the diarrhea, they will be given compensation. Many other things were also decided, such as they will visit to the families who had lost the relatives, and also they have announced the compensation, right? And even they are going to provide ORS to the people, and all other health facilities. Okay, and also the chief minister, what he said, even the chief minister said that due to the lack of clean drinking water, this problem has arisen. So he said that there will be an inquiry committee which will be asked to look into the needs and of the people, okay, providing sanitization facilities. Okay, as you saw above, people in power like the chief minister and minister have to take action. So we have seen that who has taken the action? Chief minister and the minister, right? So they go through this various department like public work department, agriculture department, health department, education department, and so on. They also have the answer to questions they are asked in the legislative assembly, and convince people asking the questions that proper steps are being taken. At the same time, newspaper and media widely discuss the issue, and the government has to respond, for example, by holding the press conference. This is what we learned now, how the assembly works. Okay, the government can also decide to make new laws for the state regarding sanitation and health facilities. For example, it may make it compulsory for the municipal corporations to ensure that there are adequate toilets in every urban area. It may also ensure the health worker is appointed in every village. What are steps are taken for the sanitization, proper sanitization? Just a moment. What are the steps taken for the proper sanitization? That it was made for the municipal corporations to ensure that enough toilets are there in every urban area, and also to ensure the health worker is appointed in every village. This act for making laws of certain issues is done in the legislative assembly for each state. The various government departments then implement these laws. Laws for the entire countries are made in the parliament. You will read about more in the about the parliament in the next year. Okay, now we are studying of the state government, so we are learning about legislative assembly. Parliament we will learn next year. Okay, in a democracy, it is a people who elect their representative as the member of legislative assembly. Okay, we have learned that people are electing MLAs, that is the member of legislative assembly, and thus it is a people who have the main authority. The ruling party members then form a government, and some members are appointed ministers. These ministers are in charge of various departments of government, such as health is an above example. This is also we have learned, right? So that MLAs are elected by the people, and then from that MLAs, minister and chief minister are decided, right? Whatever work is done by this department has to be approved by the members of legislative assembly. Understood, dear children? Now, this project, wallpaper project, we will do when the school starts. Understood? I hope you have understood the lesson, you have enjoyed watching, and this lesson should be understood by you so that you can understand how the state government really works. If you have any problems regarding this lesson, you can personally ask me. I hope you have enjoyed watching the video. Thank you for watching, dear children. Thank you and have a nice day. Thank you.